Hello, 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 and how is it going tonight? Let me see how far I can get over before my big head gets in there. Okay. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's doing good. I am Brad Scott, and this is my art. And tonight we're going to have a little mythology madness working on Death by Minotaur. This is a new painting that I started a couple of weeks ago, probably a couple of months ago now. But I'll be working on that tonight. Just to CW. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Tonight we'll be doing some live gouache painting and just hanging out, chatting about movies, TV, whatever the case may be. There is stuff in the bin for anybody that is interested. So started on this a couple of weeks ago, and for all the people on Whatnot and YouTube, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I'm live streaming now on both. So last week I worked more up in the chest and shoulders to experiment with my palette. And I finally decided on my palette, which is going to be light apricot, crimson red, and violet. So those are the three colors. I like to use a limited palette and see, how things are going, what's going on. And I like the way this is really turning out. I like the colors and the color harmony with it. But I didn't like the way it was coming out on the blends. So I'm using 100% cotton paper, and typically I use a board. I use canvas wrap board. And this was painting I'm trying on the 100% cotton paper. So I didn't really like the way it was blending. So I figured I needed to work on that a little bit. So what I did off camera, uh, I Sandman, what's going on? Hey, how's it going? I did a couple of tests on the paper. This is the paper. It's a really nice thick paper. I mean, it's good thickness, and it's 100% cotton. So it works a lot better for paint, and even ink works a lot better for ink as well. But it's really made for paint, and so it goes down good with the gouache. And so this first ball, I kind of used really light wash, and I used gouache, but I watered it down pretty heavy and used it like a watercolor to see, if that's the right way to blend. Didn't like the way that came out. And then this is a little bit thicker, and then this is a little bit thicker. And I tried a few blending techniques on both of these. And so with these three experimentations, I came up with this. And I really like the way this turned out. Let me see if I can get a good look on that one. I really like the way that one came out, and that's the technique I'm going for. So with this, I need to use a little bit thicker paint, and I would need to work a little bit faster while it's still wet before it soaks into the paper. This one was completely wet. This one was completely dry. No, I take it back. This one was completely dry, and this one was kind of like a mixture of more of like what I'm looking for. But in the end, I came up with this. I like the way I can cut it in and blend it and get some gradients in there. So that's the technique I'm going for there. And today I'm going to go and try to do this part, this leg, with that technique and see how it works. Also, two really cool things that just came in today. And actually, let me put this to the side because I'm going to show them to you. They're really cool. The first one are my new mini prints. Um, this is on an 18-point cardstock with a gloss finish, and I think it came out beautiful. I really love these. This will be one of the new items I have available. The coloring really comes out nice. The cardstock is really thick and nice, and as you can see, it doesn't bend or fold or fall on itself. Um, these came out really beautiful. I used Vistaprint and they did a fantastic job. Delivery was super fast. So I'm going to start making these available too. This is the first one I did of my Pegasus painting, which seems to be pretty popular. So I'll be putting those out available. And I'll have those at conventions as well. The other thing that came in the mail today, something I'm really super excited about, was my art and making of Arcane League of Legends show. So I ordered this book when it was first announced. I did the pre-order and it came in the mail today. This thing is thick. It's thick, it's heavy, it's beautiful. This slip cover is a vinyl, and you can see the color. Oh man, let me see if I can get these lights better. I don't know. Oh crap, I need better lights. But man, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. And then the slip cover gives it a nice tint when you put it over. And oh, it's beautiful. On the back, it's the back side of Jinx. So there's Jinx, and then the back is a back view of the same. It's so cool. It's beautiful. And then on the inside, they have a map of Piltover, and they have, let me see if I can get this without messing it up. They have lots of mini prints. Paint the town blue, and this is actually a cutout. So you can pop out and carefully punch out the tiles, and then you can spray paint this and oh man, it's cool. And then they have some of the art and some concepts for the different characters. They have scene breakdowns. They've got a letter in here. They've got a lot of goodies on the inside. Here's the wanted poster of Jinx. Let's go ahead and open this one up. This is beyond cool. So there's the Jinx wanted poster. That's so cool. Oh my god. That's fantastic. Um, and lots of concept art, lots of paintings. Here's the Motley Crew breakdown. This this is a beautiful book. It just came in the mail today. I haven't had the chance to go through it. I've just kind of flipped through it. But if you love Arcane show, this book is fantastic. So if you got the pre-order, great. If not, it is available, and it is an absolutely gorgeous book. Highly recommended. The art and making of Arcane League of Legends. Love it. All right, let's get to painting. So just again tonight, we're going to be working on Death by Minotaur painting. Rolap, hey, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Um, Also, I want to show the brushes. A couple people have asked about the brushes that I use. I use gouache, not oil paint, so I don't spend a lot of money on my brushes. And these brushes by Master Touch at Hobby Lobby, I really love them. They are, uh, they have the thicker handles, so a lot of the paint brushes are thin handled like this, which is fine. They're good. I'm a little heavy handed, so I prefer these thicker handles, and they're shorter. But I do use these as well. But as an illustrator, a lot of times, this gives me more of a drawing feeling. And these are the ones I typically use: a number 4 round, a number a small round. This one's a 12, and then I've got a number 3 spotter. And there's just a lot I can do with just these three. Now, when I'm doing the first block in like this, I use a much larger brush. And then just a rule of thumb when painting, use a brush 1 or 2 sizes bigger than what you think you need. Um, that's what helps keep you flowing and not getting into the details too much. So tonight, again, I'm going to just to recap, I'm going to work on this part of the leg. Last time I worked up in the shoulders, and I was trying to work with the new paper and see how it blended. And I think I came up with a nice way that I like to do it now. So I'm going to try that on the leg here. And then if that works out well, then I'll use that method on the whole thing. So I'm ready to get started. And I think I'm going to start by, oh man, did my big head hit it again. I think I'm going to start by re-putting in my muscle separation lines, highlighting some of the areas in the kneecap that I really want that dark violet. Um, and then I'll start working outward. So looking forward to it. Any questions, just throw them in the chat. There is some stuff available in the chat, but you know, this is really just a time for me. I have to do this work anyway. I don't have to do it, but I enjoy doing this work anyway. So I figure I might as well jump on here and chat and work at the same time. But if you have any questions, let me know. If you are so inclined, there's stuff in the bin available. The mini paintings are actually color comps that I did. They're for some Minotaur paintings, but no pressure or request to purchase any of that stuff. I'm just more interested in hanging out and doing some live painting. Rennie, hey, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. And this first part should be relatively easy because I just want to tighten up those deep creases. That's the word I was looking for before. The creases in the painting. And if I do it right, and this brush again, using one brush, 1 or 2 brushes bigger than the size you think you need, will keep you from spending a lot of time trying to detail out a large painting. This is a 9 by 12, so it's not super large, but I don't want to be sitting in there with a little small number 2 brush trying to paint this whole thing. So I'm going to use my stick here because I am a hand rester and this is gouache and I don't want to start smearing it. So I'm going to come in and just come back over these creases from the block in. And this method that I was trying out, I just require these to be a little bit more wet as I do the blending and get a nice gradient. And so I just want to go in and sharpen up some of these lines before I start to blend out. So recently, me and my Dungeons and Dragons group, which shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, I'm always painting fantasy paintings. Shouldn't be a surprise that I play D&D. I'm the dungeon master. But our group, we've been playing in the same campaign for 4, 5, 6 years, something like that. This is 2004. So we've been playing in the same group for many years before COVID. It's funny that that's a thing now, right? Pre-COVID. But we went to go see not 300, Gladiator 2. and it was actually pretty good. I don't know if anybody else has seen it. We were all pretty satisfied with it. Can it beat Gladiator 1? No, not in my opinion. I mean, but that's just, it's hard to follow an iconic movie like that. Now, this, I'm not even sure if that's thick enough for the blend that I want to do, but it was a very good movie, a very good movie. And the story, they did a good job on the story, explaining the lone break, um, and tying it all together. It was cool. It was very cool. I won't do any spoilers unless other people have seen it as well. So now that I've got that, and it's a little bit fresher, I'm going to come in with a little bit of violet. I'm going to take a little bit of that color, that color I just put down, with some crimson red. And get that mid-tone that I'm looking for. Not, I shouldn't say mid-tone, but a transition tone from the crease into the main part of the. So I'm just going to widen it up just a bit. And it's a little bit lighter, and it has a lot more red in it. And I just want to kind of widen it up a little bit and give me something to blend over without losing that really deep crease. Hopefully. That's the goal anyway. We shall see. We shall see, said the blind man. Just throw in some areas here and there. And it looks like I have messed up this tip on this brush, but that's okay. I'm gonna leave it. It's giving me a little bit more character to some of the lines, so I'm just gonna let it. I'm gonna rock with it. And now I'm gonna go with the main crimson, even though I've tainted that crimson with too much black. One of the things that I've learned is that you gotta definitely put out more paint than you think you're gonna use when working with gouache, because as it that the parts, you can always add water to make it go further, but then you really do lose a lot of the opacity and ability to blend. All right, so now I'm going to take this over that and try to get that nice gradient, that nice blend that I was going for before. And I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. If I can get, and that's the thing, working on the cotton paper, it soaks up that water really fast, and the blends. When I was working on the canvas on a board, I can just, it's a little bit easier to, the water sits a little bit longer on top. That's the word I'm looking for. It doesn't soak in, and with the cotton paper, the water soaks in so fast. You know, you sometimes you can lose your ability to blend. So hopefully this leg comes out for what I'm looking for. And I am not a instructor or tutor. I don't do tutorials or anything. I'm really just, an art practitioner, and, sharing the things that I'm learning as I go through this. A lot of people are afraid of gouache, and I can understand why. It is not watercolor, and it is not oil paint. It is not acrylic paint. And there is an acrylic wash. I use a watercolor wash, but it's not the acrylic wash. So acrylic wash, when it dries, it's like a plastic. When it's dry, it's dry. That's it. You're done. Um, Nothing blends like oils. Nothing. Let's just get that out on the table right there. When it comes to blending and the things you can do with oil paint, nothing is comparable. Um, I have done oil painting in the past. I may do it in the future, but right now I'm really enjoying this exploration with gouache. I love working with it, and I've been very happy with what I've been able to do with it. Mainly, the main reason I love it is the setup and cleanup. It's just so much easier to work with. It's more pleasing. I can take it on the road. It's non-toxic. I don't need chemicals to clean my brushes. My brushes last a lot longer. I definitely just enjoy the wash a lot better. Again, I want to thank everyone for stopping by on Whatnot and YouTube. If you have questions, throw them in there. If you have topics of discussion, please put those in there. We're just painting and hanging out. I usually talk TV shows, and movies. Just finished talking about I keep saying 300 Gladiator. But 300 is another example of that. First 300 was just an incredible movie uh, with Gerard Butler. Fantastic movie. And then Rise of the 300 was a good movie. I loved it. But was it as good as the original 300? No. No, I don't even think you can compare the two. But as its own on its own, it was a good movie. It didn't need anything to if you didn't see the first one, I mean it didn't detract. They made some references to it, but if you didn't understand the references, it didn't mess up the movie for you. So that was cool. And so the same thing with this Gladiator. It's a really good movie. Is it as good as the first one? Nah. But if you didn't see the first one, does this one stand on its own? Sure does. think Denzel did a great job. Pascal did a great job. The story, the way they tied it all together, I think they did a great job. Very happy with everything they did. So I think this method of working with, I think I like the way this is coming out. I don't know if I'm getting the blends exactly the way I want them, but I'm definitely, I think once I put in the highlights, I'll be able to tell whether or not this is going to be the right technique to use on cotton paper. I've done several paintings on the canvas board, and so I'm happy with that. I am seeing some of those gradients the way I want them there, and so now I'm going to come in with my apricot and my crimson, and I'm going to try to get some highlights on the thigh, but I need to get it out of the gray. So one of the things I've learned in working with this gouache is most of the colors come right in the mid tone, in the gray tone. So just using them straight out of the tube is cool, but they don't read exactly the way I want them to. So I do need to, change the value of that mixture. And the way to do that is either with, black or white, to be honest, because mixing the colors themselves, it stays right in the middle of that color zone. So that doesn't necessarily help me out 100%. Um, and I also here it was just too light, and I didn't like the way that came out. And that's kind of what this is, a little bit darker, but I do need to add. See, I'm adding a touch of white, and that just it turns it to that hot pink that I don't like. But if I add a touch of black, then I get it. It gets gray on me. But maybe that's the right way to do it. Maybe, just maybe, that gray tone might be better because I know what this looks like with the hot pink. So let me try the gray tone. Maybe that will read better, is to have it a little more gray tone without making it too hot. Because the first time it was just so hot, that's too hot. But this, that's too dark. I'm just afraid it's going to come out muddy, and then I'll be mad. I can cover it up. That's the cool thing about gouache. If it was watercolor, straight watercolor, I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. But with gouache, I'm going to try that. But with gouache, it you can cover it up. It has an opacity to it that works. That you can, I mean, I can take white and cover up any color that's on this painting. So that gives me a little bit more of a value change without getting too crazy with it. But then I might be able to pick out a couple of hot spots after this. So this, I wouldn't bring this down on this part, on the shin part, because then it would look weird. But maybe I can do a little bit on the kneecap. And maybe even a really mild rim light on, just to add a little bit of separation right 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 in the parts that, a little bit of rim light there, and maybe a little bit of rim light down here as it comes out of the shadow of the shield. And this is a little not as intense as what I used before, so I think that may be okay. But I am going to go ahead and take this hotter color now and maybe add just some really basic hot points with the apricot and a touch of white so that I can get a value change. And I'm just going to do a little bit right there. Just a little bit right there coming across the top. Just highlight that kneecap a little bit. Try not to get too crazy with it. I'm kind of digging that. But I think to push the shin back and bring the knee, I want to come in with a darker mixture that I had and push that knee back just a little bit more. Although I don't want it to be that violet. But I think if I come in here and put a little undershadow right there, I can push that knee forward. And then do the same thing on this side over here. And now I am using a thinner mixture because I wanted to pick up and hopefully blend some of the other colors that I put on a little bit thicker. And then I'm going to come in underneath as well. Try to push it. And the gouache, one of the other things with gouache that people always say that you never really realize it until you use it is that the darker colors dry lighter and the lighter colors dry darker. And it sounds okay, but you don't really, until you actually use it, understand like, oh, got it. And each brand is different. So, understanding the concept as well as, how the different brands behave is something that gets taken into account as well. And now I want to add just a little bit on the crease of the muscles again. And definitely up under his nether region cloak. Hopefully there's other gouache painters out there that can see me experimenting and come up with some techniques that help them out. Is my big head in the way? My big head is not in the way. Normally I'm listening to a podcast or I have a movie on in the background that I've seen multiple times so that I don't have to watch it. I can just listen to it. Today I am listening to Superman, the original one with Christopher Reeves. Haven't seen that in a while. And I was like, oh, let me go old school. I'm trying to get a little blending in here at the same time, get some gradients. Wash does not necessarily blend, but you can do some nice overlays and some value shifts. And I think that's coming out okay. Yeah, I'm digging it. I'm digging it. But now that hot is a little bit too standoutish. So I'm going to just take water. Actually, no, I'm not going to use just water. I'm going to take the red, the local color red. I'm going to just get that on the brush a little bit so that the brush isn't just straight up dry. And I'm going to just kind of try to blend that out just a little bit. So it's not as hot. It's not as okay. I'm digging that. I'm digging that. And now I'm going to come back with my deep creases with the heavy black and purple. And I'm just going to tighten those up a little bit in some areas so that the creases kind of show. So just bring those in a little bit. And I've been able to do all this with my number 4 brush. Is that right? Yep, my number 4 brush. I've been able to do all of this work. So going from the large, transitioning to tiny lines now. It's been working out for me pretty well. I haven't had to switch to any of the smaller brushes. And here I'm just going in, pulling out those lines again so I can get those deep separations, nooks and crannies in the knee. Keep some separation so it's not all muddy and blended. So after I mix the color, I try to soak up some of that water on a paper towel. I use the blue shop towels so they don't tear up and they don't get fuzz on my brush. And if I can catch most of this while it's still wet. So that's the other thing with wash is when I'm doing my block in, I can skip around. But when I'm trying to do some of the detailed work, I really have to just focus in on one area before it just dries up on me and I got nothing. But if I want to do a wash, I do have to let it dry. So if I wanted to do a wash over some of this or on this leg over here where it's been dry for at least a week, this would be the time to do that. But for this work where I'm trying to catch it while it's still a little moist, I have to kind of work a little bit fast, be a little bit diligent on just that area there because once it dries, you know, you can make a mess of it. You can do that, but other than that, you're not. The water will reactivate it, but it may not reactivate it in the way you want. And so I'm going to come in and I've got just my red on the brush again, and I'm going to try to just tone down the edges a bit of that hot spot. I don't want it that defined. right. I'm digging that. I think it's coming out okay. What are you all seeing on camera? If I can get some feedback, that'd be great. Although I think I'm looking at the YouTube stream. I'm looking at the Whatnot stream. So if anybody comments on YouTube, I won't be able to see it. I'm sorry. I don't have that one up right now. I don't have enough devices to have all stream comments up at the same time. But I like the way that's coming out. I do think that that's a little bit hot, so I'm going to try to tone it down just a little bit, but I'm not going to mess with it because it's still wet. So I'm going to come up here and try to put a wash on top of some of that and see how it turns out. Because that's been dry for a week. So now it's a good time to do a wash on it. The thing about the gouache is you can't scrub or you'll reactivate it for sure. But if I'm doing a wash on something older, I have to know what I'm doing and I have to do it in one stroke. That's it. And now that tones down just a little bit. I come up here, one stroke, and I can put a wash over that. But if I start going over it, going over, going over, going over it, the the water will reactivate the gouache. It'll start to get messy. My edges will be crap. Um, and then, I'm in a world of hurt at that point. So I take a very diluted color and I dry the brush out a little bit. I take the dampness out of it and then put the wash over it and be done. Put the wash over it and be done. Because if I scrub, it'll just react. Now that looks better, in my opinion. That it was just too hot. Now here, maybe I do want to reactivate it a little bit and just blend it just a tad bit. And break up that edge. So in that case, and see how that dries. All right, so that's pretty cool. All right, I think that might be good. I need to let this dry to see how it's gonna look. And honestly, this back leg here, I'm not unhappy with the way it is, just blocked in, not drawing a lot of attention to it. I do want to tone it down just a little bit. But do I have the right color for that? I think I might. I might have the right color for that. So, but I like the way that is. So I'm just gonna come in with a nice wash one time, tone it down. I want to break up the edges so they're not so. But I like that back leg. I don't think I want to mess with that too much at all. I like the way it's kind of chiseled up and it's pushed to the background and it's bringing this leg out a little bit. So I don't think I want to mess with that at all. Um, I might later come back and put a rim light on that top part, but that would probably be it. Um, I like the way this leg is drying up. I like some of the rim light. I like the way that knee is kind of popping out. It probably needs a wash, a lighter wash up top and a darker wash on the bottom, but it has to dry like this did up here, where I can wash it and be done with it. So that might be good for the legs. That might be good for the legs. Um, so that was a little bit less than an hour, and I don't want to go too far because I've been experimenting. Um, any questions? Who's hanging out with me right now? Any questions? Anybody got anything? I see that there are some people on. I don't know who I can't see the names of who's on, but I see that there's a couple of people on. So I'll hang out here for a second. Let's see if we can get a deeper camera view. Yeah, I kind of like the way those legs are. I like those legs better than the chest and shoulders that I did last week. So I'm probably going to modify the chest and shoulders to match that style just a little bit. I can use the wash on those hot spots up there. Maybe tone them down just a little bit, and then I can build it back up. Uh, but yeah, I think the legs come out nice. I think the legs come out nice. So that's a good hour. That was a good hour. And the cool. Let's check out the palette. There's the updated palette. We've got our violet, apricot, and red, white, and black. That's our limited palette. And you can see all the mixtures I've been able to do with that. The background is the green, so that's why you see the greens over here. All I have done to them so far is just the block in. Other than that, I've been focused on the Minotaur. And then once I get the Minotaur the way I really want it, then I'll go ahead and I'll start working on the background, because some of the background is going to cover him up because he's in the woods killing this dude down here. So you're going to see some blood splatter as he's stabbing the shit out of him. All right. I think that's a good I think that's a good painting session. It was a quick one today, just an hour, but I think that was a good productive hour. So thanks a lot for hanging out. And thank you all on the Whatnot channel. Thank you all on the YouTube channel. If you got any questions, please let me know. And I will be back on next week, seeing as to how today is Saturday. All right, thanks a lot. You all take care. Peace out.